Okay, so what if the targeting ends? A lot of people say, I can never trust anyone again. Like on Quora, for example, I saw this question and someone said, do you think you could ever have a relationship as a targeted individual? And one of the answers was, even if the targeting ends, I couldn't have another relationship with anyone ever again because it's completely destroyed my trust. And I piped in and I said, hey, well, there's married TIs, not everyone's a robot. And it would probably be really traumatizing. Hold on a second, my phone might turn off, which will actually give more of my attention towards talking, which I might need because I'm about to do an exercise. About to do a precautionary exercise. Okay, a mental, kind of a therapeutic exercise. So, what if the program ends? Okay. Now, is any politician going to end it? I don't think so. But if enough people are aware of it, then the politicians will end it basically as a proxy of the common people, of the normies. So, could you ever go back to being a normie after what you've been through? And what happens if you do go back to being a normie? Could you handle that? Would you go crazy? Would it be like Brooks in prison? In the Shawshank Redemption, Brooks gets out of prison and he just can't handle it, so he dies. He hangs himself. So tonight I'm going to do a normie simulation of what it would be like to be a normie, just as a precautionary preparation for in case the program ends. So I'm going to go on this bike ride as if I'm a normal person who's not being gang stalked and who doesn't even know what gang stalking is. Because it's so far in the past, it's just like, it's an intellectual thing. Like, a black person might know what slavery is, but they don't really know what it is. They just kind of have a mental construct of what it is. So, anyways, so I'm going to just do role playing as if I'm a normal person to kind of prepare myself for if the program ends. And just to get further away from my current identity, who's a TI, just to really role play it correctly so I can make it more believable to myself and to the audience that I'm actually just a regular person who's not a TI. I'm going to do a British accent so that I appear more like I'm someone else. So, okay. Anyway, here I go. So I'm morphing now into. So we're not. This is not a gang stalking, a gang stalking fucking night. This is a normie simulation starting now. Oh, that's a nice truck. Did you see those people walking that dog? I think they were saying something. I couldn't tell what it was. Do you know? Sometimes when I would be talking to my friends, my girlfriend and my other friends and my colleagues, we'd go out for lunch and whatnot. And we would be talking about whatever, nothing too risque, just regular talk. And someone would walk by us and we would suddenly all go quiet as if we had to keep it a secret, like it was our little group. And so I actually felt quite flattered that those people walking that dog, they actually talked really loud, like they were trying to do the opposite, like they wanted me to hear their conversation. Kind of like we were all friends. But anyway, I shouldn't be too positive because, we have this chilly weather. And thank God I've been vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccination. Plus I got my boosters. So I don't think that there's going to be any cold wind viruses floating my way, making me all sick and yucky. Ooh, this bike is fast. Look at that, a city bus up there. Don't you just love those city workers? Who doesn't get paid enough is city workers. They do all that hard work, and they're truly good, honest, service-oriented people. Honestly, when I see a police officer, or an ambulance driver, a fire truck driver, I don't look at them as much better than the bus drivers because they're all providing a valuable service. Now, a little Word to the wise. I knew this guy named Q-Bubs, and he actually lived around an area that looked just like this area. Because obviously, I'm in Britain, but he lived in Canada. And this culture crust place up here, this pizza place that's open, he went for lunch there every day to get pizza. And even when he had his own pizza that he brought from home, they would heat it up in their oven for him. And there were two brothers who worked there who were twins. What a nice place. Woo, look at the bright lights on this car. You know what I like is safety. I have some really bright lights on my bike as well. Not as bright as that though. They really value safety a lot. But then again, I'm driving on the side of the road or on the sidewalk and they're driving right in the middle. So they need those bright lights, don't they? Now, should I be a bad Bobby and cross the street even though it's not my legal designated time? I think I will. Oh, and guess what? I'm going to be riding over some bumps now to test my full suspension bike. Oh, look at this. What a quiet side street, and it's 10:30 p.m. But yet, there's some precious soul driving just for a leisurely drive, probably with their family, sightseeing and whatnot. The value of family is underrated. And the Sharks are handling these bumps most professionally, I must say. At the risk of sounding like an elite snobist, I have to admit that I would never ride a bike ever in my life without rear suspension shocks. I must warn you, dear viewer, that relatively soon, in the next minute or two, we are going to be getting to some very dark place, and there's probably not going to be any people around. And so don't get too scared if you're spooked out easily, that maybe there's a coyote or a fox something jumping out at me like that. Darling, we live in the city. There's nothing like that here. In fact, we probably won't even see any people. But my God, I could have sworn I prayed for good weather this morning, and suddenly the wind is just blowing like the winds of Thor. I feel like God must be smiting me for perhaps not doing the proper choreography on my dance moves recently during my worship, or that I must have simply forgotten my prayers. Perhaps I was too busy dancing in my worship. Oh, that God does have an ironic sense of humor. My God, I feel like this pavement has been sanded with the finest sandpaper. I swear I'm floating on a cloud with these rear suspension shocks, and the front suspension, I must add. And again, I don't want to sound like an elite snobist, but when you have the brag-worthy equipment, you might as well say it, right? I mean, who is anyone really to tell me I can't have that? But, I do feel a little guilty, so maybe I'm going to give to charity tonight. I'll donate something to some kind of cause. I'm not sure which. I've not been keeping up with it, really. But mind you, I've not been sinning enough bragging about my equipment that I've needed to compensate by donating to someone. So don't go thinking that I'm ungenerous or something. Did you just hear that? It sounded like someone yelling from the side of their house. Oh well. Must not have been towards me. I don't know anyone who lives around here. Do you know what I love? The possibility of meeting someone new. You go to a bar, or you get a new job, move to a new city, meet some new neighbors. And you never quite know, you could be talking to the new love of your life. You could just have someone there who will totally love you and cherish that moment forever. And you only get better and further along in your relationship with them. And you never quite know. You know, people are generally good. Now, when I was a child, I was told that the police are there to parent the adults. Police are like parents for adults. And it does raise an interesting philosophical question that obviously people are good in general, but are they only good because of the police? Is it really that the police are good and people are bad, and if not for the police, that the majority of people would actually be bad? Now, I don't want to go smiting ordinary people, don't get me wrong, but let me just explain one thing to you. If that were not the case, then why would the need for the police be there at all? It's sort of like, it reminds me of a conversation I had with a vegan. It was actually that guy Z-Bubs. He asked me why I had the right to eat animals, why I can't eat a dog, but I could eat a pig. They're the same amount of intelligent, and it would be horrid, according to me, to eat a pig, but it would be okay to eat a dog. You know, why would it be okay? And I said, well, if it wasn't okay, that wouldn't be the animal's purpose. It's the animal's purpose to be eaten. So it reminds me of the same thing with the police. It's their purpose to protect the people from themselves, so therefore, the people must be bad. It's the purpose of the pig to be eaten, so therefore the pig is supposed to be eaten. And thank God we live in this kind of society. Because frankly, I wouldn't want to live in somewhere that's lawless. Because I personally like my late night e-bike rides. You know, I appreciate that no one is mugging me right now. And that my beautiful house is safely locked up. Someone once said to me, do you think you'd ever get a security camera? I said, well, what would I need that for? Crime is illegal, and breaking into my house is illegal. You know, I once worked as a police operator. Someone called me once and they said that there was someone attacking them with a gun. Do you know what I said? I was onto them really quick. I said, that's impossible because guns are illegal to attack people with. Oh, would you look at this? A nice, beautiful dog. Oh, and that same e-bike I saw the other day. That's a nice one. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. My camera has been tilted down. Now, it's funny, the person on the phone tried to file a lawsuit against me. They claimed that just because something is illegal doesn't mean that someone won't do it. And my argument to them, and I won the case by the way, my argument to them was that we've already told the criminals the law, and they know very well that they'd be punished for breaking it, so it would not be in their best interest to break it. Therefore, it's not logical that a criminal would break the law. So yes, technically it's possible, but realistically it's not going to happen. And we had lots of other calls coming in. You know, someone's cat was stuck in a tree, or someone was parked in the wrong place. And those are the kind of crimes that do happen. People get so rich and full of themselves with money that they think, I'll just park here, it's a handicap spot, I'll just take the ticket, I'll pay it later. Well, you know what? Sometimes we have to look at these two twins. Weren't they just gorgeous? Did you know that I'm a closet homosexual? I do have a wife. Weren't they just scrumptious? And one of them touched his ear. Did you know that the ear is the most erogenous zone of the body? Oh, it triggers everything. Let me tell you, if you've never owed from a stimulation to the ear, you've never lived, darling. Now, you might be wondering, how am I closeted, but I'm still talking about it? Well, just between us, and quite frankly, if I have to be honest about it, I think my wife already knows. In fact, ever since we got married, we stopped having sex. I didn't know I was gay until I got married. Once we got married, she never had sex with me again. So I just turned to my friends. They said the same thing. And one day we got the brilliant idea, why don't we just have sex with each other? It's not gay if you imagine the other person's a woman. And, you know, eventually we just kind of liked it better that anyway, that we'd be having sex with each other. Well, there's not resentments. You know how frenemies are. Your spouse is your most intimate enemy. Secretly, they're hoping that you don't come home from work, that you die in a car accident. You know that's true. No, they'd never say it, but you know it's true. They make you food and they're wishing that you'd choke on it. And right when you want some sex, they're suddenly too tired. Right when you need a ride to work, they're suddenly too tired. Right when you need anything, they're suddenly telling you that you're the worst person they've ever met and that you're totally selfish and that it's all your fault, gaslighting you. And so you need your friends for more than just dick. And I'm sorry for saying that word, you know, I don't mean to be vulgar here. But you also need your friends for emotional support. It's very true. Man, those two little twinks were hot. I do wonder if they saw my good-looking side. Have you ever been to bed with twin twinks? Could you imagine? Oh my God, the scenarios. I couldn't even dream of the scenarios. All the things to do with two little twin twinks like that. Would you have them tuck? Or would you prefer them untucked? Or one tucked, one untucked? I'm sure one of them is the bigger brother, even though they're twins. But I bet the little brother would very much love the opportunity to untuck while his big brother has to tuck. I'm sure that would give him all kinds of delights. Don't you think? I bet he'd go to town on his own brother just to show him who's the bigger one after all. You know, there was a YouTube channel I used to watch, and the younger brother actually turned out to be the most famous one. He was kind of like the loser in the group of them, the two of them. The older one was always making fun of the younger one. The channel was called Waffle Pond, and they were colloquially known as Freak Out Kid. And the kid would freak out, and the older brother would film it. But it seemed to be staged, but you couldn't quite tell. They said it was staged, but perhaps they only said that because it wasn't staged and they were embarrassed. But as they've grown, they've become men, and they're still quite famous. And the younger brother is now clearly the genius of the two of them. He's much more funny, he makes funny songs, and he's clearly the older one in a sense. Now this is a delightful park. Here's a bar right here. This bar is called the Float House, and they have music here. And you know what? It's open, or at least there are people inside. But this would be a fantastic place to meet people. You know, if I didn't have this e-bike, I would probably, well, I could go in even with the e-bike. It's not that I don't want to lock it up outside. It's just that I'm enjoying my ride, I don't really feel like going in and socializing right now just because I'm doing my bike rides, but if I wasn't doing that, I would enjoy going in there and just meeting some people, getting some new friends, perhaps meeting a missus. I am gay, but I would prefer that I have a missus. Now, we are going quite quickly around here. I'm sure people think that we're a very dangerous, mysterious person. And here are some geese. Ooh, this scares me. These geese are very rambunctious. My goodness. That scares me more than COVID-19 almost, but not quite. Did you know I was circumcised 10 times? No, I'm just joking. But I would have liked to have been. Well, since COVID came out, you don't want any folds of skin. There might be a virus hiding underneath there. I don't understand the science of it, but people who are smarter than me do. Oh my goodness, would you look at this? What a beautiful area. I thought that taxi cab was some kind of spectacle. I thought there was a music show or something about to start. Some strobe lights or something. It turns out it was just a safety precaution. Well, with those bright lights and all. And plus he had that little taxi sign lit up on the top of his van. Okay, well, I think it's about time to go home, but I have to admit, I do have a bigger battery tonight. Okay, I have a few different batteries, and a couple of them are knockoffs, but this one that I'm using right now is the official GoPro battery. Maybe I should go a little bit farther. And the official GoPro battery will film for about an hour, whereas the other ones only film for half an hour. And do you know that you could buy 3 unofficial batteries for the price of one official battery? But I think I would almost go for the official one. Or perhaps I would be the one to tuck, and the twin twinks both wouldn't. Kind of a spit roast scenario. Sometimes I do embrace my feminine side. I'm sure they were hairy too. Could you imagine what their forearms would look like? Like a carpet of hair. Like a large or smallmouth bass. Skin-colored. Full of hair. And they're nerdy too. The total nerds. With those big, thick, rectangle glasses. And speaking of rectangles, do you want to know what I decided to call chips? Like, French fries. I decided to call them square chips in a reference to the potato chip. Rectangular prism chips. Not square chips. My bad. I was thinking about those Twinks. Rectangular prism potato crisps. But speaking of batteries, my phone battery is actually working very well. It's on 5% battery, but it's still going. Oh, look at this, a fellow kindred spirit. We have another e-biker coming up over here. Oh, this one looks like he's cooking. But he's not fast enough to cross before me. Well, how's your day? Do you believe in telepathy and time travel? I know it sounds stupid. But let me ask you this. And I'm going to be a little bit not safe for work right now, but not in a sensuous way. If you were to buy a new house, and you were to find out that previous to your purchasing of that house, someone in that house was murdered, an entire family was murdered with an axe, would you want to buy the house? Well, the house is cleaned out, there's no bodies in it, but perhaps a good chunk of people, many of whom would say that the question, do you believe in telepathy and do you believe in time travel, would say is an absurd, preposterous proposition. But those same people wouldn't want to move into a house where a family had been murdered with an axe. So I ask you again, do you believe in time travel and do you believe in telepathy? Do you believe that if I ask you how your day is, even though you're not watching this yet, that when you think about how your day is in response, that it will travel backwards telepathically through time to me right now, and I can tell how you are doing as the viewer? Do you think that's possible? And that even perhaps I won't have the conscious recognition of it, but I will just sort of have the unconscious milieu of how you are feeling. Somehow, if you are feeling sad, then just upon asking the question, I will feel a little bit sad as well. I mean, have you ever heard that the audience determines the speaker? That if the speaker is talking to 1,000 people, for example, that if just one new person enters the audience, it changes the emotional disposition of the speaker. And somehow the speaker can just feel it on some sort of auric field. Do you think that's true or just a bunch of malarkey? And have you ever noticed coincidences that made you think that perhaps it is true? You were reminded of someone and then you saw them. Or someone you knew, you thought they needed help, and then you called them and they said something bad just happened, that they did need help. Perhaps I should go home. The donut shop is already closed, and frankly, I'm a little bit overweight anyways. I could always gain a few pounds for donuts, so I guess I should thank the Lord that it's closed. There was a beautiful girl who worked at that donut shop once, and I went to order something, but they were only doing pre-orders, and she said, "I'm sorry, but you can't have anything right now. You have to leave." And I said, "My mistake," and I left, and I was very sorry. I do wonder about her, if she's okay, that she thought I was minimizing her job and not taking her seriously, but I simply didn't know. I should have went back and told her that so she didn't get the wrong idea. But I'm sure it comes with the business. She's a very popular person. It's a very popular place. Have you ever seen the movie American Beauty? Do you remember Lester's wife who has an affair? Do you remember the man who she has an affair with? He has big eyebrows. He's another real estate agent. The man who owns the donut shop looks just like him. He's this Italian with big eyebrows. He may have been the father of those two twinks we saw earlier. Oh, how I'd love a good stretching. Although sometimes I like to untuck too. I was kind of a man before I got married. At least I thought I was. And I was embarrassed about it. You might think that I'm just, what do the young kids call it, a cuckold. But once I got married, I had all my friends confess to me over the years that they were in the exact same position I was. And I have to confess that I believe it is absolutely normal to be a total flaming gay. At least when you're married. But, who doesn't want to get married? It's the whole point of life. Who's going to argue with that? And really, that is why we need the police, because we have these beautiful wives and these beautiful families, and that's the whole point of it all. So we need someone to protect us. Oh, I'm not going to hold a firearm, even if it was a parallel universe where it was somehow legal and ethical to use your own protection. I don't think I would want to. My fingers are cold just riding this e-bike right now. I don't think I could handle the recoil of a firearm. I'll leave that to the professionals. I feel scared of my own wife when she hits me. Oh, would you look at that? Another e-biker. Isn't that beautiful? And they're talking loudly. You know what that reminds me of? That they aren't shy and they actually feel like perhaps they want to have some new friends, including me. You know, perhaps when I go out with my friends that we should talk loudly when strangers walk by too. We should stop being so greedy with all our conversations. I mean, part of it is that we're discussing our erotic businesses. And it's not really so much that we're ashamed, but it's just that perhaps it's too much, too soon for someone walking by. Just not the right etiquette, you know? Oh, look at this. Fancy chap. He had a nice mustache and he was smiling. Do you think he wanted me? Oh, he was smiling. Did you see his Blue Jays baseball hat? Do you think that meant that he has a penis the size of a bat? He would certainly not tuck, even if I asked him to. Have you ever met a man who you already know that you're the one who's going to be tucking? You can just tell instantly that he ain't going to tuck, and he expects that you are already tucked. He's the type who hits you if you haven't done an enema even before meeting him. He says you should have prepared for the possibility that you would meet someone like me out in the bushes here. And now you've ruined my jeans. So don't act like you don't deserve this and like you won't be masturbating to it later when I give you a whopping. My goodness, that woman barely was looking up. I wonder if she even knew where she was. Well, people are so in the phones these days. You could hardly have a conversation with anyone, can you? Well, I do have a lot of friends. I have, a wife. I have a family. I have colleagues. We're a member of various clubs. And I have to admit, I do love my phone games. I have this one game called the burger game. Remember how I was talking about rectangular prism potato crisps, formerly known as French fries? Well, I had this game on my iPhone. It was called the burger game. And the point of it was to make burgers. And you made other things too. You were the host. You were the chef at a restaurant, at a fast food burger joint. The line cook, that's what I meant to say. And so you make ice creams, you make different flavors of ice creams, you dip them, you make onion rings, you make French fries, you make burgers, you make cheeseburgers, you make bacon cheeseburgers, you make fountain pop, you make it all. And when you're cooking the French fries, and I must interrupt this moment just to say, there was this one woman who would come in all the time, and she would be smoking, and you had to always serve her first, because if you didn't, the other customers would leave. And I wish there could have been a sign that said no smoking. And once you got enough customers and enough money, you could upgrade your equipment to make even better food. And then you'd get even more customers. And there was, I think, 100 levels on the game. And I got up to level, I'm not sure, 60 something. But when you cook the fries, you have a certain window of time to remove the fries from the fryer and serve them to the customer. And remember, you're serving multiple customers at once. And if you take too long for any customer, they leave and they get angry and you don't get any tips or any money. And if you take out the fries right when they're done, you get a satisfied customer. But if you wait just about 10 seconds longer, then there's a small window of time, just about 5 seconds, that you have when the fries are perfectly golden crispy. And if you take them out at exactly that time, you get super tips. The customer is very happy with you. And today, when I was making my rectangular prism potato crisps, I found that exact sweet spot. And I laughed that in that game, they actually had a real scientific documentation of a phenomenon that I had just experienced. The golden crispy rule. Perhaps that's where the saying comes, the golden rule, treat others like you'd like to be treated. Perhaps it comes from French fries. Make your French fries golden, and you will get treated good. Now, I'm going to turn on cruise control because my thumb is so cold. You know, what would warm my thumb up is putting it in some twink's anus. Don't you think? Oh, is that person lost? Person up there with a backpack, looking at their phone like they're looking at a map or something. They just looked back at me. I wonder if they're lost and they thought I could help. Do you think I should go ask them if they need any help? Well, I'm sure they'll do fine. It is a nice neighborhood. We are, after all, protected by the police. Okay, this is called breaking the law. I guess I'm a criminal now. Oh no, someone pushed over a scooter. I am going a bit faster than normal right now. I normally go only on speed 3, but tonight I'm on speed 4. And I have to say, my hands are suffering for it. I think, in fact, I'd like to warm up my entire hands, if you know what I mean. Perhaps one twink each. I'd say that's more of an untucked kind of move. Oh, what about you? Do you prefer tucking? Do you know who the original tucker is? Buffalo Bill from the movie The Silence of the Lambs. But secretly, I think he was an untucker. He was just playing the role. Oh, he was a very cruel one. Remember when Catherine was yelling and he was mocking her? I'm sure he tucks in the same sort of fashion. Do you know what? Speaking of actors, that actor, I forget his name, but there's an actor he reminded me of who is called Clancy Brown. He was in the new Dexter show, and I never knew, but he was also the warden, or no, not the warden, the prison guard in the movie The Shawshank Redemption. And he has a very picturesque voice, a very, well, picturesque wouldn't be the word. Oh, look at this, a relaxing gent. Looks very self-contented. I have to admit, my dirty mind got the best of me as I was passing by. I was imagining that his bald head looked like a penis tip. It made me laugh and smile when I looked at him. I hope he didn't think I was making fun. I have seen a man inserting his entire head into a woman's vagina, but it may have been, I think it was photoshopped. It was on that eFucked website. I think it was photoshopped, but it was a video. But anyways, I watched this review of an e-bike, and the guy riding it, he lived in a very nice house. He was 6'4". He was a very grandiose kind of man, but not in a cheesy sort of self-entitled way. He was just a very present man. And he had this very roaring, deep voice and a cinematic tone to it. I could almost do it. I can't really do American accents, but if I could, I would. And I said to him, Clancy Brown voice. I thought it was a great compliment. And do you know what he did? He wrote an emoji that had a face with its eyes bulging like it was confused or shocked. And he said, I hope that's a good thing. I thought, do you not know who Clancy Brown is? Do you only regard him as the prison guard in the Shawshank Redemption? Or you can't separate the artist from the art and you think that I'm calling you like that terrible prison guard? Because Clancy Brown has other roles too. But then again, his other role was in Dexter as a serial killer. So perhaps he had inferred something rather logical. Now, what other roles are Clancy in? I don't know. But I do really like him because of his symmetrical face. I really like his face. I think this is what a good-looking person looks like. Did you know that babies prefer to look at good-looking people? And teachers give higher marks to good-looking students. I do wonder sometimes if part of Clancy's charm is that he's so good-looking, and through that he's gained some sort of confidence, and that confidence has led to his acting being so stellar. And if really the whole point of it is just how good-looking he is. The presence of his voice, of his character. Perhaps it all comes from his gorgeous looks. But I must say that when I watch him on film, I just can't help but be drawn to him. Whatever the scene is, I'm just looking at him. I'm listening to him. He has magic, I would say, dare I say, and I know I'm going to offend some of you here, and please forgive me. But I would say he has more presence than Dexter. I would say he stole the entire show. He stole the entire series. I mean, think of him as the prison guard in The Shawshank Redemption. A rather side character, right? But still, think of how particular his role is. How much of an atmosphere he brings. How much he represents. The callousness, the treachery, the cruelty, the nonchalance. Like to him, it's just second nature. You forget that he's playing a role. You want to forget him. You don't realize his brilliance because his role is played so well that he comes off as so treacherous that you actually don't want to notice him at all because he'll haunt your dreams. Now, I don't like riding on the sidewalk like this. Because honestly, I feel like it's disrespectful to the police. They do all these hard jobs to keep the city streets safe, to keep the drivers nice and, orderly. Keeping the lights on nice and bright. Making sure that if anyone's missing a light, they give them a ticket, send them to the repair shop immediately. And here I am, breaking all the rules, riding on the sidewalk like some credent. I know they're nice people too. They would just let me off, but I just want to show my respect. Are you enjoying our ride so far? I'm sorry for asking, I shouldn't ask personal questions like that. Well, it's not such a personal question, but rather invasive. I mean, if you're not enjoying it, what are you going to say? Oh, sorry, I'm not. I'm waiting to get home. In fact, I don't blame you if that's what you're thinking, because I'm waiting to get home too. I'm rather cold. But something that I still manage to do is I smile. And the naysayers will laugh. Did you know that Hitler went to a psychiatrist and he was told that he should say positive things about himself? Do you know what Hitler said in response? That he would, but it would be lying. He would say to himself, Hitler, you are a very wonderful, kind, caring man. You are a beautiful person. But he felt it would be a lie. And he was very self-respecting. He wouldn't lie to himself. It was beneath his dignity to lie to himself like that. And he told the psychiatrist, I will not say such things because I can't believe it. Now, when I smile during the cold and all the time, the naysayers will say that it's just fake. But did you know that smiling biofeedbacks? If you smile for just 1 minute, it will send neurochemicals, neurosignals to your brain to change your neurochemistry, to make you happier. Did you know that children smile 100 times more than adults? Could you guess why they're so happy then? So smile. It's only fake for the first minute. And if anyone notices you faking it for the first moment, just pretend that you're remembering getting hammered by a twink and you're in pain before the pleasure sets in. I'm sure they'll understand. Now, who would you rather tuck for? The Blue Jays hat with the mustache, who was very smiley, or the twin twinks, who were not so smiley, but ironically, strangely, not so aggressive either? Well, if you're totally aggressive, you could afford to smile. If you're just a twink, you have to pretend and posture like you're the Hulk Hogan or something. Poor lads. Okay, well, we are about to arrive home. I do have some oil sitting on the stove, and I could make some more rectangular prism potato crisps. I think that would be pretty good. In fact, I think I'm going to turn the speed up on my electric bicycle just to get there even faster. I'm sure you want to get back there too. What a scrumptious ride this was. I'm so happy you joined me. Thank you so much. You know, I'm really looking forward to the rest of my life. I love my life and I love my livestock. Whoa. That is one fast e-bike. My God. Okay, let's go in here and see what the cats are doing. Oh, look at that. He's sleeping on the couch. What a little cutie he is.